All right, let's dive into something pretty extraordinary happening in Algeria. The country's parliament just passed a law that is, well, it's a bombshell. It's a law that doesn't just remember history, it actually puts it on trial. And that really gets to the heart of it, doesn't it? Can a nation look back at its own painful past and legally declare it a crime? Well, Algeria has just answered with a resounding yes. And the ripple effects, they're going to be huge. So let's break it down. So first up, let's look at what this law actually is and the absolutely electric moment it was passed. I want you to just picture the scene for a second. Inside the parliament, you have lawmakers draped in scarves with the national colors, and as the bill gets approved, unanimously by the way, the chamber just erupts with chants of "Long live Algeria." This wasn't some dry legal proceeding. It was a huge, powerful national statement. Now, this law isn't just some vague blanket statement. Oh no, it gets very, very specific. It actually catalogs a whole list of acts that it now officially considers crimes of French colonial rule. We're talking about everything from mass killings and torture to the plundering of resources, and even the devastating legacy of nuclear tests that France conducted in the Algerian Sahara. But what's really interesting is that the final version of this law was actually scaled back a bit. The initial drafts were demanding a formal apology from France and some pretty broad financial reparations, but both of those demands were eventually taken out. Algeria's president put it this way: "We are not tempted by money, we demand recognition." The one major financial piece that did stay in is compensation for the victims of those French nuclear tests. So, to really get why this law even exists, you have to look back. We're talking about 132 years of history that led right to this moment. This isn't just about modern politics, you know? It's about deep, historical wounds that have never fully healed. And the timeline here is just staggering. French rule started all the way back in 1830. For 132 years, Algeria wasn't just treated as a colony, but as an actual part of France. Except, of course, the native Algerian population was systematically pushed to the margins. This long, painful history all came to a head in one of the most violent wars of decolonization of the entire 20th century. And that brings us to a number that is absolutely seared into Algeria's national memory. The official state estimate is that 1.5 million Algerians died during the War for Independence. Now, French historians will give you lower figures, but this number, this is the one that explains the depth of the trauma that is still fueling political decisions today. So, how does all that painful history connect to right now? Well, this law didn't just appear out of nowhere. It landed smack in the middle of a modern-day diplomatic crisis brewing between Algeria and France. This quote from the parliament speaker Ibrahim Bougali, it just perfectly sums up Algeria's position. For them, this law is a line in the sand. It's basically a declaration that their historical narrative is a core piece of their identity, and it's simply not up for debate. Now, on the other side of that coin, you've got France. President Emmanuel Macron has actually called colonization a crime against humanity, which for a French leader is a huge step. But he has always stopped short of offering a formal state apology. And this quote right here, it really captures that fundamental roadblock between the two countries. As you can imagine, France's reaction was swift and it was sharp. Its foreign ministry came right out and called the Algerian law hostile. That's a pretty clear signal that this move is only going to make the existing friction in their relationship even worse. So what is all that friction about? Well, a major point of tension right now is the disputed territory of Western Sahara. France recently backed Morocco's plan for the region, and that is a direct challenge to Algeria, which has been a longtime supporter of the Polisario Front, the local independence movement there. So this whole geopolitical chess match is the immediate backdrop for this new law. So, let's pull this all together. What is the ultimate power of a law like this? I mean, if it can't really be enforced internationally, what does it actually do? Yeah, this is the crucial point. You're not going to see France getting hauled into the International Criminal Court over this. Most analysts agree the law has no real binding international power. Its real power is all political and symbolic. It's marking a fundamental shift in how Algeria is going to deal with France over their shared and very painful history from now on. So, what's the big takeaway here? This law really does 4 key things. 1, it cements Algeria's official stance on its own past. 2, it yanks a historical issue right into the center of modern geopolitics.
3, it gives Algeria a stronger hand to play in its current diplomatic fights with France. And finally, it plugs into a much bigger global conversation as more and more countries are trying to confront the legacies of colonialism.
Which leaves us with one final and kind of heavy thought. For Algeria and for France, their shared history isn't some settled chapter in a textbook. It's an active battleground. And it really makes you wonder, when memory itself is the conflict, how do you ever truly win the peace?